Welcome to this module on energy tokenization. My name is Jos Reuling and I'm a certified architect at IBM at the Global Competence Center for Energy, Environment and Utilities as Chief Technology Officer for blockchain solutions in that industry. The information that I share does not reflect any products, ambitions or commitments by IBM on tokenization. This energy tokenization module has three parts. In the first part, I will do a short introduction on tokenization. In the second part, will be on energy tokens in general, and this part will have two videos. And in the last part, I will talk about one use case that is active in 2021 as a project in the Netherlands. Tokenization on itself is very old. We all know paper tickets and security papers, and those are physical representations that we're all familiar with. Tokens are virtual and have no value on their own, and they're only useful because they represent something bigger. For instance, the poker chips that are used, the plastic value of those chips is not in any shape related to the value that those chips represent. Tokenization works by removing the valuable or complexity from your environment and replacing these aspects with tokens. So if you look at the goals and benefits, there are two major aspects. The first aspect is that it removes any original, sensitive and/or complex or personal data and replace it with a dataset that can be made uncipherable using a token. So replacing sensible information with a token that can hide a lot of those complexities. Other aspects are in ease of storage and ease of handling of those valuables. So the 7 main benefits for using tokens are the following. So the first token is an ease of transfer versus physical transfer of assets, specifically if we create digital tokens. That transfer of asset can be done without any physical activity at all. Another one is lowering the cost and increase speed due to reduce of intermediaries that are associated with physical transfer of any goods. Then there is automatic enforcement of behavior, regulation and rules and agreements associated to the transfer of a token. We can build fractional ownership of those tokens. That brings new kinds of business relationships. We can enforce audit trails that prove transparency and will keep relevant information on a single place. And it can be identity of something that's very difficult to counterfeit. And it can also prove that something is genuine. And we've seen quite some interesting examples already in the art domain. And last but not least, we can separate the rights from an asset, from ownership of the asset. So next we're going to see what a token definitions look like and what elements that make up a token. So for that I use the token taxonomy structure. Token taxonomy starts with a notification of a base type. The notion of a base type are artifacts that are fractional and all non-fractional, which means that a token represents a single unit or a part of a unit. And it can be fungible or non-fungible, meaning that it can be interchanged if it represents the same value or not. There are quite some hybrid tokens, for instance theater tickets, where you want to have an understanding of the play for the ticket, the date and the seat that you have in the theater. Another aspect of the token taxonomy is a set of properties, data attributes. You can think in our domain of energy generating methods, whether it be solar or wind, or a certificate associated with the energy generated. So the last aspect of the taxonomy framework is a set of behaviors, the allowed actions on the way the token behaves. And there you can think of specifications of whether it can be transferred, if the token can expire, or the token can be burned. All these different aspects are grouped and described in the token taxonomy frameworks, which you can use to create token definitions that are not linked to a specific implementation technology. You can find 3 popular token use cases. So one is an asset-backed token. The token represents an asset, either a physical asset or a non-physical asset. And the next category is that you have utility tokens that gives you right to something, like a theater ticket. And the last group are called stablecoins. These are cryptocurrencies that have a connecting to a fiat currency that are traded on all markets. If you look at an example for tokenization, Here you can see a fine print, for instance, a certificate of origin, which I created. So the base type is a unique fractional fungible token with carbon emission data, renewable energy certificate data, those are specifications from North America's flavor of certificates of origin, and have modeled properties like the supply control, transferability, mintable, and role-based behaviors. I've created this using a plugin from the Interwork Alliance on Visual Studio. And so for that, you need to have Visual Studio Code and the IWA plugin. So here is a fine print of all the taxonomies and the elements that have been specified already in the framework. And if you build a token definition, you can create a template, and the template is then destined to go into the software development pipeline to create a token for your specific platform that you want to use for your token. So in order to use your token, you want to make your token known to the world. And for this, you can record it at the International Token Classification Library operated by the International Token Standardization Association. For that, you need to supply 4 aspects: the economic purpose for your token, the technical setup, the legal claim, and a description for which industry the token is meant for. If you want to create a token yourself, then you can make use of this roadmap built by 2tokens.org that will start with your ambition to create a token and guide you to 23 decision points that you need to make. And it's specifically tuned for the Dutch regulatory framework, but it clearly describes and supports you in your thought process in creating a token for yourself. So in this module, the token concepts were briefly introduced with the benefits of digital tokens. Also, the token taxonomy framework was discussed to show what the token components are and the register and the roadmap for digital tokenization project. So this concludes the module. Thank you for your attention and see you next time.